Episode 2 of the first Poker Time 5-10 cash game we've ever had. Very exciting.
Very exciting. You know what else is exciting is the dash giveaway associated with it. One of you lucky viewers is going to win a full dash, which is worth over $600 right now.
As of last time I checked, it was almost $700 grand.
That is crazy.
It's climbing.
That is crazy. We got Blake raising +1. If you want more details about that giveaway, check out the description of this video.
That's right. It's not that hard to win big money. It takes very little work from your end. You really should get in on this.
Looks like Terminator 3-bet the 6-4 off. That is a play of the Terminator.
Yeah, and Blake calls with the ace-3 suited out of position.
It is suited.
It is hard to realize equity, though, on the speculative hand with the stack to pot being like this, but Blake has way the best of it, and that's a big flop.
That's a great flop for Blake.
Huge flop for Blake. He's loving the fact he called now. Blake has got the kind of stack where if Terminator bets, Blake could just raise.
Yeah, just never fold, obviously.
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
does.
See if Terminator decides to bet and how he sizes it. He does bet. Ooh, it's big, too.
Yeah, 225.
This is kind of a great stack size to just move in on.
Yeah, I think I would move in.
He's like, call if you want. It's okay with me. It's great. You can fold out some better hands for sure.
Looks like he's just going to call here.
Interesting.
It would be crazy if Terminator got to win this hand with 6 high against the nut flush draw.
If he moves in on the turn, I mean, Blake is not supposed to call.
Well, I think Blake's going to win this.
Now he's supposed to call. If Terminator moves, I guess I meant on a brick. I assume Blake is going to check and let the Terminator continue here. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the right play. Terminator might just give up because the spade came in, though.
He also has a spade himself.
Well, at this point, I don't really see Blake getting any more value.
I mean, Blake would have to know that he's supposed to check to give the Terminator a chance to bluff. I don't know why you'd think that.
Most people are going to bet here, try to get called by a showdownable hand, maybe pocket kings or something even, you know?
It's very reasonable for Terminator to have a showdownable hand here that he can call a bet with. I think you're supposed to bet. I think Blake is right to bet. This is, of course, BMW Blake. And he is going to bet. He's not going to get any
He's not going to get any
Unless Terminator decides to make a crazy above-the-rim shove, which is really not going to work out.
It would be quite below the rim against Blake's hand.
In this spot, but I'm saying to give him that little fold equity to move in, it would look like the nuts, although since we know Blake has the nuts, it would be unlikely to work.
I think it's not going to work.
Terminator did seem to think about something for a while, but maybe just Hollywooding to try and make it look like he had a good hand.
And Blake, being a friendly guy, showing it.
Yeah, that's why they call him BMW Blake, because he's friendly.
That makes sense.
Let anyone who wants ride in his BMW. He'll give you the keys. He'll say, go ahead. I'll see you in an hour.
That's awesome.
It's like you can do test drives with, and these days they do longer test drives than they used to, like car dealerships. Like I was at a car dealership last year and looking at cars, and the guy said, if you want, you can actually take this car for the weekend.
Holy crap, I'm really bored right now with this.
That's pretty interesting, no?
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Anyway, BMW Blake wins the hand.
I want to talk a little bit more about the dash giveaway.
Okay, good.
The way it works is later on we're going to name a player who won a hand. They're going to have just won a hand, and you have to note that player because you're going to have to, from all 4 episodes, tell us which player won the special dash hand if you want a chance to win the dash.
And then we'll randomly choose from all the people who tweeted us with all 4 players' names, and someone's going to win the full dash. Just like that. Amazing.
Well, it's kind of weird that 2 players have ace-7 offsuit in a raised pot. That's not a normal thing you see.
It's true. It's hard to argue. But if they were going to pick players, they would probably pick among these 3 to have that at this table, right?
Oh, you're doing a they thing?
Yeah, why not?
Well, ace-7 is ahead of Aaron right now.
Yep. Collectively.
It's like the Borg.
Yes, exactly. Aaron, a huge Star Trek The Next Generation fan, so that's got to sting a little bit for him.
He's actually a Deep Space Nine guy, but he accidentally watched a couple Next Gens.
He was surprised how good they were.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right, we're going to chop this one up. Terminator's going to make a little bit more than Snuggie because he is out of position.
That is true. He'll make an extra $5. But no one decided to take a shot at any point.
That's kind of odd with Terminator and Snuggie. Terminator raising ace-7, Snuggie calling ace-7, and neither of them ever taking a shot when the board doesn't win out well.
A lot of messing around with those cards.
It's kind of funny.
I don't mind it. There you go. The $5 has been correctly rewarded by our dealer, Josh.
Excellent work. There's Comptroller Mitsif.
He's thinking about.
It's like I gotta find some. What he's really thinking about is accountants, how they can be expensive to hire. You know,
Yeah.
and the municipality. Wow, that was
there
tough.
it is.
The municipality has not such a huge budget, so he's got to find talented young accountants who are looking for a start. You know,
It's hard. You have to really come up with some perks that are not, financially related. you
right?
know?
Like you can meet the mayor, Dan Pasco, Digital Dan.
Things like that. Yeah, it's just great to work here. It's so much fun. We've got free coffee, stuff like that. We have a pizza party every 2 weeks. That's the kind of stuff Mitzev has to think about these
Casual
days.
Friday.
Yeah, exactly. You can wear shorts.
45.
Digital Dan limps 2 4s. Snuggy's gonna make it 45 with a pretty hand. I don't imagine Dan will
Somebody
call.
just folded 7-5 suited. Did Blake just fold something? No, it couldn't be right.
I don't know. Maybe Cantu. He's been playing a little snug pre-flop.
He has.
We do have Brendan Cantu at the table, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. You haven't seen him this episode yet, but you will. He's here. He's in seat 9.
4.4 million in live earnings.
WPT title, WSOP bracelets. There he is on his phone. He's obviously thinking a lot about this hand, though.
He's like, what does this mean about Snuggy's range here?
No, obviously he's not doing that. He's on Monster.com trying to help Mitzev find some
Right.
qualified young professionals.
What do you think about Snuggy betting that flop? King 10-6 with a 6-7 suited.
I think when it's checked in a cash game, it's not that bad to bet.
Yeah, just protection mostly.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Why give it away? And you're going to hero later, and often when they bet later, you're behind when you hero, and you can just take it down and make it easy on yourself.
Yeah, and if another 6 comes, nobody's going to put you on it.
That's right.
That's something.
That's right. And, if you get called, you shut down. That's all.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right.
So I think it's okay. What do you think?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a blind raise here.
That's
Coming
the
from
Terminator.
The Terminator.
He's firing bullets. $30 worth of bullets.
He doesn't need bullets with his mechanical body.
Raise to 30.
Okay. I'm going to leave that one alone. That's
Yeah.
my current plan. Look at him. Look at frickin' Wonka's hand, though. He's looking down like he's going to kill somebody.
Well, that's his job.
But like angrily. The Terminator is never angry.
Yeah, he has no emotion.
Exactly.
He might.
He's like a toaster. He's just like, I just have to make this bread warm. That's my job.
What is my purpose?
Exactly. You pass butter.
Terminator will usually call here.
In the past, he's called a lot. He wants to. Look at it. But he knows he's not supposed to. He folds.
And he's also buying in a little bit to the Wonka is tight thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, Wonka opened under the gun, and Wonka is tight.
Yeah.
Wonka has reasonable ranges pretty much always. So that's a good time to fold for
Yeah.
Terminator. Even though Jack 8 is sort of pretty, but it's not good enough, I think, against Wonka's under the gun range.
It's interesting to put a guy with reasonable ranges in these games sometimes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's like sticking a really good actor in in like a questionable TV show. Like like at the beginning of Battlestar Galactica, you're like, Edward James Olmos is in this? How can this be? And then it turns out it was great. It was
Yeah,
fun.
it's a good show.
You're like, how do they get him? And why is he doing this? And is he struggling financially? Where's the Miami Vice money? Things
BMW
like that.
Blake looks like he's going to open the 9 deuce suited on the button.
25.
I guess he's going to have a pretty wide button range, is what we're learning. Wow, and Terminator says,
Wow, I guess Terminator's onto him a little bit because that's usually a calling hand.
yep, he 3-bets quickly and bullies the heck out of Blake with the best hand.
It's an interesting hand to 3-bet because you really want to see a flop and a 4-bet. You're going to have to fold a lot of the time, too.
Yeah, you are. But he does negate being out of position a fair amount by
Right.
raising there. And
And a lot of the time, Blake's just going to call if he's going to continue,
Almost
and
always.
Terminator gets to win a lot more that way.
yep. And Terminator does rate to have the best hand a lot.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
I kind of like it in some ways,
I
definitely.
think it's not a bad hand to have sometimes in your 3-betting range there. I wouldn't want to always have it there, but here and there.
We've had dash corner and scarf corner. This corner looks like on your phone corner. Am I right?
Whoa, that's a burn.
Tinder is spicy over there. You know what I'm saying?
Swipe left, boys. Swipe left. Wait. Sure, why not? Be selective.
Yeah, you know.
It's hard to remember what
You're
these things mean.
on poker time.
Yeah.
You can be selective.
Digital Dan gonna be selectively raising it up here with the ace king.
Perfect tie-in.
Thank you. I like how I worked that together.
Terminator calls the queen jack off. Mitsiv's probably going to set mine here.
Yeah, she should.
And Blake, I don't know.
Blake's been folding this hand. He didn't last session.
He's getting a really good
Episode.
price though.
Yep.
Decides to call.
It's such a bad hand to call with. Well,
Getting
if he
a-
flops a
getting a
9.
good price.
A 9 is good enough here, as long as nothing else flops.
Well, yeah, it's hard to know what you
So
want
it's a
though with a hand
dodge.
like this.
The king, queen, jack, and ace. Hey, he
That's
flops
why.
some 9s.
That's why you do it. Dan has the backdoor nut flush draw. That's something.
I would expect Digital Dan not going to fire on this board. In fact, Blake could... Oh, I am
Digital
wrong
Dan is going to
again.
fire.
The one who was seen is so tight. I guess he's...
Not as tight as they say.
I guess not. Look
Terminator
at that.
folds. Wonka was not in there. Mitzif should probably fold. I think he was set mining, right?
Well, this is the kind of board, though, where it doesn't make a lot of sense that Digital Dan would bet. And Mitzif knows this, and look at this. Mitzif knows doesn't know he's ahead, but believes he's ahead, but there's a problem.
There are a couple problems. One is Blake is behind him. He thinks Blake's usually going to fold. Another problem is, even if he's ahead, he doesn't have great equity against anything.
No, a 7 makes you the worst possible hand.
Yeah.
He is behind sometimes, but often Digital Dan's going to check back almost his entire range on the turn when we call.
Looks
right,
like
with
Blake's
deuces.
giving everybody the bad news right away here.
It makes sense. It looks like people have something. They don't.
They don't.
I can't imagine. Well, I mean, obviously Digital Dan can't call.
I think Dan would probably call if he had an overpair, which it feels like he's supposed to have here.
I agree. He would. I think he would call too. Although Mitzif flatting behind him is problematic. Mitzif absolutely could have flatted a 9 himself, or better hand with 2 7s or something. But probably he'd call once with an overpair. This hand is an easy fold, and I think he's just putting on the Hollywood here. There we go.
He just doesn't want to believe.
Yeah, and Mitzif knows Dan was his victim, not BMW Blake.
Right.
So he just immediately hits the eject button. Looks like Blake showed again. Yep.
Well, he does know that this is going to be on YouTube very soon. Although there could be an advantage to not showing for the rest of this game.
That would be a fairly significant advantage in theory. Although maybe Blake is just going to use his image now as having a guy who always has it. He showed quads last
He also showed a
episode.
bluff.
He did also show a bluff. That's true. Huh. Well, now maybe he's trying to make up for that bluff so he can bluff again by showing these hands, you know?
Perhaps.
I can have it too, guys. Really.
Mitzif looks so sad.
I know.
The accountant pool. It's hard to find a good accountant.
You know, there's so many new CPAs every year, and yet still finding someone who you really want to work with, not as easy as it sounds.
Blake's going to limp ace-7 off.
Yep.
Dan's going to limp 7-5 suited. I like that hand a little better for a limp.
Of course. Everyone's going to... Basically, as soon as we got to the hijack, everyone just decided to throw $10 in there, and here we go. So it feels almost not random, but close.
Close to random. Who
Nobody
flopped something?
Well,
Dan
Digital
has no
Dan.
open under.
That is it.
Yep.
Also, backdoor flush draw.
Yeah, pretty good hand for Digital Dan.
Everybody checks. It's a nice card for Digital
Yeah,
Dan
he's
as
got
well.
the flush draw, and nobody has a queen.
He should... I got to believe he's going to bet this, right?
Yeah,
If
you'd think he will.
it checks to him anyway, and no one takes a shot, so Digital Dan is likely to take it down here.
He's going to get to win with 7 high a lot of the time here, unless somebody gets weird and stubborn.
Makes sense. He's got the most reasonable hand here. Well, BMW Blake is crushing him equity-wise. Okay, he folds.
And Dan shows it. It's infectious.
Yeah. Dan doesn't really think he's showing a bluff, though, and he's not, right? He's showing a high equity hand.
Like, I had a cool hand.
Yeah, like, look, I really have something. It's a reasonable bet. Everyone would bet this kind of a thing, I imagine. I don't know about those sunglasses on Digital Dan. I feel like he's scarier without the glasses.
How dare you?
Is that because they're Dash sunglasses?
No, it's just because you can't besmirch
Oh.
the digital name.
I'm not
You're not disperching anything because that's not a word. Looks like Brandon
to talk.
Cantu has raised blind under the gun here, making it 20.
I'm saying he looks scarier without the glasses. That's a good thing. You want to be intimidating. I think he's less intimidating like that. He looks like he's a big fan of One Direction with those sunglasses on, you know?
I don't really feel that way.
Harry? He's a big Harry fan.
Well, yeah, that's different, though.
Harry
Terminator's
ever
going to
gonna-
limp the 10-3 suited.
Are you ever going to have that soul album that we've been
Hey, look,
promised?
Snuggy's got queens again.
Yeah,
he lost
Snuggy's had queens a lot.
Lost a pretty big one with queens against Action Aaron in the last episode.
True. He's got pretty good equity this time, though. Is the Terminator really going to call? No. It's like he wins the small ones with queens, loses the bigger ones. So far.
Through no fault of his own.
No. Seriously, though, that Harry album, it's going to be epic.
You think so?
I do. I think it's going to be, he's going to have the Song of the Summer on it.
You think I can, like, buy stock in it? Is there a way to do that?
There's gotta be.
Before the buzz gets out there?
has to be. Well, I mean, we have to buy stock before this episode releases, I guess.
Oh, yeah, everybody's going to do it.
It's going to be crazy. Harry is a member of One Direction, right?
I don't know.
Probably. I mean, they're all guys, so we have a chance.
Just choosing a random name, yeah.
Male name. I think I might be correct. Oh, Digital Dan.
I imagine he'll be bumping this one up. Action Aaron will probably be calling unless there's a 3-bet.
There is a raise.
And it's only 40.
Terminator's thinking about it. Terminator's
he's got a real hand.
Yeah. Is he going to put in another bet himself?
Looks like he did.
Is.
110, is that right?
Yep.
And Snuggy moves in with 2 10s.
Snuggy, relatively short. Not completely insane to move in here by any means.
Especially considering it's Terminator, who could have a lot of things.
Exactly.
I actually think I like it from Snuggy.
Me too.
And Dan's just going to give Terminator the bad
If Dan
news.
had a bad hand and folded, Terminator was going to call probably with
Yeah.
2 9s, and Snuggy would have been in great shape.
This is just kind of an unfortunate spot for Snuggy. The deck's been against him today.
Snuggy shaking his head.
He's got 2 live suits.
That's true.
One of us would hit a set.
Terminator just said one of us will hit a set. Okay, we'll see.
Not so far.
Backdoor flush draw for the digital one. If the 10 of hearts were to come up,
If any heart comes off, it kills half of Snuggy's equity.
That is not a heart, though. Snuggy down to 2 outs. Not looking good. Sorry, digital one. You're going to win again. Oh! I'm truly sorry, digital one. You're not going to win again.
Why would you be sorry if he was going to win?
Because he roots for the other people, man. He roots for the underdog. He's a big underdog guy.
That was a pretty
bad.
Pretty rough one there.
That's tough. At least Snuggy only had, what,
680.
Yeah.
680, I think.
So that's the good news for Digital Dan. Digital almost always gets to win that one, but not that time.
I mean, you can't win all your 80-20s.
No. You win something like 95% of them, but you can't win them all.
That makes sense, yeah. Good math.
You think I'm overstating it? I probably am. It's like 70%? 70%, I'd say.
Hey, if any of you out there truly believe that you lose more than half the time with aces, I got news for you. You're right. That's just math.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Good stuff. This is our audience, dude. Of course they don't believe it.
I know.
This is our audience.
I know.
These guys are savvy. These people. Poker savvy, bro.
Of course they are.
Yeah. Leave them alone. Don't you pick on them.
I'm not picking on them.
You're picking on them, and I can't stand it. So stop it.
What are you trying to position here?
I
You're
don't
doing
know.
some weird stuff.
I'm not sure. I'm going to just seeing what's going to happen, you know? I'm like putting a lot of seeds in the ground and seeing what sprouts.
You want to go up against me, man? You want to take me on?
I want to see BMW Blake take on the table with his King 10 off. That's what I want.
I don't.
So crazy,
you're not
is it?
getting your wish.
All right. Digital Dan knows. that's
Smiling,
not
even
good
though
enough.
he just got pretty unlucky for, almost $1,000.
Again, he's lucky that Snuggy didn't have twice as much money in front of him. That's the one good thing that you could say. But you'd rather have him not hit the 10 on the river, obviously.
Snuggy probably loses the hand if he has twice as much money in front of him.
Possibly. Possibly you're right.
Got a
Here's a fun little matchup. Diamonds v. Diamonds.
pretty hand for Action Aaron here in the big blind. And pretty flop for him, too.
I think it's, give Snuggy a chance.
Nope,
Snuggy does
Snuggy's not taking the bait here.
Not interested. A diamond would make it interesting. That is not a diamond. It is a straight draw, though, for Snuggy. However,
It is.
he's drawing dead to that straight.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hit that straight.
Yeah. Action Aaron betting, only 50, but Snuggy with nothing.
That's a bit disappointing when you're Action Aaron in that spot.
Yeah. Sucks when Snuggy just checks back so fast and comfortably to it.
Yeah.
Usually he's going to have a showdownable hand at least that can consider calling.
Right.
But he had nothing and didn't even want to get involved.
He did raise pre-flop.
Yeah.
You think he'd at least give some action, but
He'd either bluff it or have a hand that
Yeah.
can consider calling, but he had neither, and it saved him money that time. Did not wanting to play the Queen 4 off.
Terminator wants to play the Jack Deuce suited, though.
Yeah. He likes the suited jacks.
He does. They are suited.
He likes the suited everything, but he likes the suited jacks.
I think he's going to win. Blake looks like he's going to fold.
Yeah, Blake could have called this for sure, but just wants to do a little bit better.
The Terminator is not getting any good hands except for the 9s, which he had to fold, which for the Terminator means he's going to play a lot of bad hands. Because he's here to play.
Yeah.
He's here
no
to
question.
terminate.
That's right. He doesn't want to sit around, wait for good spots. He wants to create the spots,
Yeah.
which sometimes he does pretty effectively.
Oh, he does. He takes some interesting lines a lot of the time.
I mean, he creates spots for himself and for other people both. Is
Yes.
what happens. So it's, sometimes there's a lot of friendly fire when Terminator gets shipping chips in the pot where people get hurt.
Let's see how terminaty he's feeling with the 8-6
This
off.
would be pretty terminating. Okay, now we know.
Raise to 25.
He raises to 25 this time.
Folds.
And I guess Mitsif is tired of it. He's like, you're just doing this too much. He has somehow a worse hand than Terminator.
It's really hard to do. And Brandon Cantu, his spidey senses are going off, but it's just pocket threes.
It's just not. You have no blockers.
He was
not
thinking
much
about
you can
it,
do.
though. I guess he could have been considering just flatting, but I was guessing he'd probably 4-bet or fold there.
Blake folds a pretty hand there, but there is a 3-bet already. And
Terminator
Terminator
down with your favorite hand.
Terminator opened under the gun, which is supposed to mean his strongest range. I don't know if it does necessarily.
Doesn't seem to. And
He's going to call. So
out of
Mitsif,
position with the
look
8-6
at
off.
the spot Terminator has generated for himself, as you're saying. He's dominating his opponent in the 3-bet pot.
He's going to lose to all C-bets.
Well, Mitsif is going to C-bet this flop.
For
and
sure.
Terminator can't do anything unless he decides to check raise for some reason.
Well, Mitsif with the flush draw means a check raise would be problematic anyway. Terminator knows he has to fold.
Mitsif pouncing on what he perceived as weakness there, and he was right.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true. He didn't need to have a hand himself. He actually did flop some equity, which made it easier to continue, but I got to believe he was going to bet that flop either way.
Yeah, usually. That's usually the case.
It is an interesting problem with guys like Terminator, Action Aaron, Snuggie, where you can't range them so easily. Like, they can show up with a lot of hands in a lot of spots where a lot of these other guys, just like Wonka, just isn't going to show up with, right?
Yeah.
So it makes some of the decisions a little bit weird against them sometimes, you know? You have to like, take other things into consideration where they can have stuff where you're like, well, that deuce doesn't help anyone. It can help them.
We're pulling a non-Wonka here, by the way. Wonka raised under the
Whoa.
gun blind,
Oh, it's blind. Okay.
which is a non-Wonka.
I mean, okay. I mean, if he opened that after he looked at his hand,
That would be less Wonka.
that would be the rarest of all the Wonkas.
Digital Dan's going to bump it up with the ace-jack off.
Seems pretty likely to just work.
Well, Wonka, it's only 45 more to Wonka, and Blake has already called.
Wonka has to believe if he calls, Blake's going to call too.
7-5 is a reasonable hand,
It is reasonable. And
so he
is gonna
decides to call. If Dan had made it 80-85, I think Wonka would have folded.
Blake's hand is too easily dominated. It looks like he's just going to throw it away.
Blake's been doing a lot of limping with bad offsuit aces.
Yep, and then folding to the raises, except the time when he had the ace-9.
And he hit trips.
Yep, so maybe that's a lesson, Blake.
Whoa, that's a problem for Digital Dan
Wow.
right there. Now, if Wonka puts in aggressive actions, it's going to be hard to range him as a bluff unless he has clubs.
Yeah, clubs would be the one thing.
Would you raise or just call here, Jonathan, as Wonka?
I think raising is actually pretty good because I don't think Digital Dan's going to bet again with kings or queens anyway. It may just check fold with them anyway. I guess he could call if the club doesn't come off on the turn with
Well,
him.
oh, it looks like Wonka is raising. Do you think Dan should consider folding an ace here?
I mean, here's the thing we know. Wonka's never raising an ace. He's raising trip sevens or we've got him, right? I think we're supposed to call at least once.
Trip sevens are usually a flush draw. It's probably not a random raise with
Right.
king 10 of diamonds.
I agree. It's trip sevens or a flush draw most of the time. So there's probably a lot more flush draws than trip sevens.
yeah.
We do have a jack of clubs in our hand, which isn't great, but and that it blocks some of those flush draws. I think you're supposed to call at least once.
All right,
What do you think?
Dan's going to call. I think it's a really close spot, and I can't fault either decision.
Yeah. 8 of diamonds on the turn changes nothing.
Another check by Dan.
That seems correct. How much is... assuming Wonka bets here, which you have to believe he's going to. He just got called. Looks like Digital Dan has an ace-king type hand.
Well, I don't know. I think checking would be interesting because then we can rep the flush draws a little better.
Here's the problem. Half the deck is going to bring in a flush draw.
That's
And
true.
it's going to be hard to get value on the river if diamonds or clubs come.
And sometimes Dan has the flush draw himself,
Yep.
which we don't mind charging.
Right, we'd be happy to charge. Dan usually has an ace or a flush draw or a very stubborn overpair, which is going to be hard to get action from later anyway. I think a bet here is called for.
Once again, I think it's a close spot.
Yeah.
I think either decision is fine.
Assuming we bet, how much should we bet?
I think we should... Oh, he's moving in. He's trying to make it look like a flush draw.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. That's an interesting thing I hadn't considered.
I think he's also concerned that if he bets 300 and gets called, too much of the deck is going to make
That's
it hard
twice
to get called
the
in the
pot,
river.
that bet.
That is a really big bet. But look, Digital Dan doesn't know what to do now because that's not something you'd expect Wonka to do with value.
Right.
Pretty interesting. Wonka's hoping to get called by ace-king here, I think is what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's his main goal, obviously. And he doesn't mind pricing out the flush draws.
Right. Figures any bet is going to price out the flush draws anyway. A reasonable bet by him.
Well, if he made it 200,
That's not really reasonable, though.
it would be like slightly less than half pot.
There was like $600 in the pot.
I don't think there was that much.
He raised Digital Dan's bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can roll the tape back if you want.
We could. It was 500 and something. It was like 550 in the pot based on how much Wonka moved in for.
Something like that.
So 200 is pretty small. I'd expect him to bet at least 300.
All right, so it's not quite twice the pot he shoved, but it's significant.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 times pot or so. I can understand Dan's confusion here. It's just hard to imagine Wonka would move in with trips or better. Why would he do that? Doesn't it look? It looks like he's going for max fold equity. I like this play by Wonka because of that too.
What would Andre the Giant do?
He would talk very, very hard to decipher words,
And then he would drink 80 beers.
yeah, and be loved by everyone.
He was known to drink like 80 beers.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
Digital Dan also only the one out, by the way. This is a really tough spot for him.
I think it's a fold based on the price you're being laid.
Looking at it again. I wonder if see Digital Dan. Oh, he's shaking his head. I wonder what he's thinking about here.
He doesn't think Wonka has too many sevens in his range in a raised pot. He knows Wonka is a pretty tight player as well, so that's probably going through his mind.
It's fair. Wonka's going to have more clubs than sevens for sure in a raised pot, especially where he'd put in the blind raise, right?
And Wonka probably isn't going to play ace-queen or ace-king like this.
No, you can't imagine you play ace-queen like this. After Dan calls.
Dan makes a pretty good fold there.
Yeah, that's a good fold.
Wonka's
I like how Wonka played it. I like how Wonka played it a lot. He gave himself a chance to get called by ace-jack.
Look at him. Look at Wonka. He's disappointed. He's like, maybe I messed that one up.
I mean, if he bets 300, do you think Digital Dan is going to call, or is he going to probably find a fold anyway?
I think he's going to call.
It's hard to know. If he's going to find a fold anyway, then I love the shove by Wonka. Right?
Yeah.
If we're sort of like he's calling or folding either way, then great. Let's get max money, especially before the scarecrow's done. But if he's going to call 300, whoops. I'd love to be able to peek into Digital Dan's mind.
Both players played that hand pretty interestingly.
Yeah. Agreed.
Snuggy's launching an Angry Bird before looking at his hand.
Gonna launch those cards right into some pigs. Knock some stuff over.
All right, yeah. 7 deuce suited.
Digital Dan not like Blake. Oh, interesting play here by Terminator.
Yeah, he's limping the ace-queen. This is obviously playing against Image. He's opening himself up to lose the hand a lot, but that's okay. He's under-repped, and it's kind of cool.
Yep. If he flops top pair or any version of a pair, he's probably never going to fold. Like, well, this is a hand.
It's going to be hard to get any money out of Wonka, though.
Yes. He checks. Wonka has a showdownable enough hand that he can check it back.
Well,
that's an interesting card.
They both have spades as well.
Yes, exactly. 15. The 5 of spades. You can't see it, but Wonka hits a pair and has the second on flush draw. He really has to call.
Absolutely has to call.
Great spot for Terminator.
Oh.
Until now.
That is dirty. And
Wonka had 9% equity, but takes the lead.
All right.
Only 25 bet by Terminator.
Here's the real question. Does Wonka raise or call?
So close. You got to I mean, this was an unraised pot pre-flop. You think Terminator doesn't have very many aces up, right?
Yeah.
Or very many aces at all.
And
so
Wonka agrees, decides to raise. Now, this is a crappy spot for Terminator.
Look at Terminator's face, too. He's just like, really didn't like that. He calls pretty quickly.
I mean, he has ace-queen here. It's reasonable, I think. He's not beating any value.
No, he's really not.
Hey guys, we're going to get right back to the action, but we got to take a moment and tell you about Dash Digital Cash.
Dash Digital Cash is an awesome cryptocurrency. It has instantaneous transactions. It has super cheap transactions. I'm talking about 1 penny. That is insane. It's very useful. It should be adopted by everybody. And to start adopting it, you go ahead and download the Dash wallet by using the links in the description of this video.
Yep, it's fantastic. If you want to know more about Dash, we actually made a 5-minute video explaining all the benefits, how it works and everything. It's right up here, so you can check that out too. Otherwise, let's get back to poker time.
I wonder if Mitzif is going to take that economics degree and turn it into a blind race. He is. He finally did something with that.
You're like, I want this to be offensive in multiple ways.
Made it 25 under the gun without looking at his hand.
Yep.
As, you know,
everyone else is doing.
An economist would.
It's all about incentives, you know.
Right. I think that was in Freakonomics. Blake is going to call with the Jack-10 off. Ooh, Digital Dan. The rackets.
It's a good hand, and I think he's going to play him fast. I got to tell you, Grant. Expect him to play him fast.
I'm going to be nice.
See? Yes. Did you raise it very much?
70. it
Oh,
looks like.
70. Okay.
Which is not that much.
It's not that much, but at least I thought it was like 50 or something. at first. Blake is the only one with the decision here.
Blake's got a call, right? Look at the price he's getting.
Clearly does not have to call because that one is. Wait, he hasn't released it yet. That one is. He shows the 10.
10.
Shows the worst one he has.
You know what? I'm gonna throw a raise.
I don't know why he wouldn't call there.
You know, Jack 10 off, out of position.
Yeah,
Not that good.
it's a really good price though.
It's a very good price. You guys are both pretty deep too, right?
Yeah.
I say you guys meaning.
Yeah, you're talking to them now.
Yeah, I'm saying Blake. You guys are both pretty deep. It's pretty obvious.
And we have Action Aaron. I think he's
blind. He's blind raising over the blind raise of
blind
Cantu.
blind 3-betting Brandon Cantu. That shows true grit.
Also, he's pulling the Marcel Luskin wearing the Dash sunglasses upside down. I wonder if he's going to start singing at the table now, too.
I hope not. What? Action Aaron has two kings.
Crazy.
In the blind 3-bet, he gets two kings.
Amazing.
We saw him put the chips out before he got his cards.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he did not. I don't know if he's looked at his hand yet. So far, no one with anything. Wow, really no one with anything.
Cantu's going to at least call, right?
Yeah, of course
He calls. And Aaron can't raise because it's a blind raise.
That's right.
Not a straddle.
Oh, that's funny.
Aaron could get really unlucky here.
Dead raise.
This would be okay. Well,
He's safe, but
he's
he's not
very
gonna
safe.
he's not gonna make any money.
well, Cantu could decide to make a play at this board. Aaron's gonna bet,
Bet a 50.
and it's
That's gonna
over
be
instantly.
that's
Oh no,
gonna
no,
be-
it's
no.
not. Cantu's thinking about it. He's thinking maybe I could check. No,
Yeah.
okay.
Cantu hasn't really had anything to play with so far. He's
He really
looking
hasn't.
for a spot. He had the Queen 10 of diamonds. That was pretty.
That's
good.
right. That's about it. Though.
Yeah.
He hasn't had too many good starting hands, and he hasn't had too much happening post flop either. But it's still relatively early, so there's that.
Thank you.
That's the only time you went on king.
Man, what a feeling when you get the non-straddle blind raise and nobody raises and you have the kings here. You're just like, damn it.
Yeah.
That is bad. At least it wasn't multi-way.
There you go. There's that. That's the one thing we can say. He got to win.
Yeah, winning is good.
Always good. Digital Dan. Yeah. What's happening, Digital Dan?
Wonka gonna play this one,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
For sure. How much do I make it? That's what that little eye roll was there. Yeah, so it's 30.
30. He's changing his sizing as the game moves
It's true. I've
on.
noticed that. He was going 40 earlier on.
I think he's recognized some trends or something, and I guess he realizes 30 is enough to get it done sometimes.
Well, maybe on Cantu's blind, he feels like he doesn't need to make it as much unless it's if it's someone like Aaron's, he has to make it a little bit more.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that's quite possible.
That's the kind of thing Wonka might be thinking about.
He thinks about all sorts of weird stuff. He's Wonka
Yeah, you know why they call him Wonka, obviously.
because of the chocolate.
Yes, because of well, when you say the chocolate, though, what are you referring to?
The factory full of chocolate and his little slaves.
That's not correct.
Oh,
No,
okay.
No, that's weird.
That makes for,
I
that
don't
makes
know
for
what that's
great
from.
TV.
No, he
Talking
actually
about
has a
how bad a TV
full,
this is.
like, life-size replica Bentley made of chocolate.
And that's why they call him Wonka.
Yeah, because of the chocolate.
All right. Anyway, BMW Blake gonna raise it up with the ace-6 suited under the gun.
Yeah.
Pretty loose open for him. He's been limping a lot, and deciding to raise here.
The limping has not worked out very
It has
well.
not. Mitzvah looks kind of like he's gonna play the 6-7 offsuit on the button. That is a loose call.
Yes. There's no way around that.
Terminator made another loose call, but we've come to
That's the
expect
Terminator's
that.
game.
Yeah. He doesn't want to see diamonds here.
No, he doesn't. I guess he could see 4 diamonds that made him a straight flush.
That would be
You'd
really
be okay with that, right,
would be
Grant?
really neat.
Would you be okay with that?
Well, 2 of his straight flushes are blocked. You'd have to have
Yeah.
a very specific straight flush. Flops
good.
middle pair. Blake flops top pair. Mitzvah flops nothing.
Like, he's going to bet it.
I wonder if there's much value in betting here with the ace-6. I don't know if we can get called by worse. Maybe we can get called by king jack and queen jack.
If Terminator,
Or not queen jack.
If
That would be
Mitzvah
bad.
had, if Mitzvah had
King
Terminator,
jack and queen queen.
yeah. If Mitzvah had Terminator's hand, he might call closing the action.
Yeah, he might.
but it was a little bit unlucky for Blake that Terminator was
There's so many
with a
of
man
them.
behind him.
Two
Right.
eight minimum.
It's that's a weird spot when you go top pair and you have two opponents, but you did open under the gun.
2 apes in a movie.
You're gonna fold out almost all worse hands when you bet there.
I don't like
That's true,
movies
but
that
you know,
are like
it's okay to win there too when there's a lot of not a lot. There's some bad cards in the control that make life hard. At least it's okay to bet, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I'm just saying those aren't
Generally,
my
would
type
check
of
there
movies.
myself. The digital one
Now there's just too many.
lets it go.
Pretty
Terminator-
hand.
Yep.
Raise to 40.
Wonka just folds the ace-10. He's looking for good spots only.
Would anyone else at this table fold the ace-10 there?
No.
I'm not sure.
No, I think the answer is
Yeah,
when Terminator opens,
I don't think so.
Call. Fold.
Dougie calls the ace-3. It is
Yeah.
suited.
It is suited, but still. It shows the difference, right?
Yeah.
BMW Blake says,
Good luck,
He
sir.
does that a lot. He loves saying that.
Oh yeah, is that his catchphrase?
It's one of his catchphrases. He has
Check
several,
all the
obviously.
gallons up.
Obviously.
Another one is, you know,
You want
don't
chop
catch
it
me in
now?
a you-go. He loves saying that. No one flops anything. Will Terminator continue? No, it goes
Nope.
check, check. A 9 for Terminator. That's a nice card. He bets.
No, my kicker
And that
30.
is going to do it. Not only is that going to do it, Grant, that is our dash hand of the day.
What?
Meaning that is for the contest. You have Terminator is the correct answer for episode number 2
Right.
of the Dash Cash game.
Write it down in your moleskin notebooks.
Yep. If you want to know it, you got to have all 4 correct, though. So if you haven't seen episode 1 or you don't have that, you got to go back and find that one, too. Got to get it right. Otherwise, you do not get your shot at 1 dash.
So some of you are halfway there to having the right answer and
Pretty good.
shot at some real money.
Yeah, this is like legit and free.
Yep.
Thanks to Dash Digital Cash.
Terminator has blind raised, or else he just left some chips out there. I'm not sure.
I'm going to go with blind raise.
Yeah, that seems common for him.
Yes, 30.
Yeah, I made it 30 there. Wonka with a good hand.
Yeah. So nice when it's suited, too. It's just
Snakes on
better.
a
This is the second time in a row that Wonka has raised Terminator's blind raise, which might start to irk the Terminator.
I mean, Wonka's opening from under the gun. He shouldn't think it's personal.
He shouldn't, but he might.
Well, fair enough. If he was truly made by Skynet, he would take nothing personally.
He was made by a competing company. They're more into the emotional robots. Action Aaron calls the 9-6 suited, and Terminator is going to close the action and call with ace deuce.
Yep. There's a nice shot of Mitsif there.
Yep.
3 players.
Got to get your Mitsif shots in.
I think our director can't believe that Mitsif looks like that. Okay.
He looked so different
He
before.
does. It's just confusing.
Action Aaron has flopped a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. It's kind of the most interesting flop out of these guys.
This is the kind of board Wonka can continue on. He often will have a king, and a good one at that.
And he's going to do it.
Let's see if he gets.
Sets like
110.
Action Aaron
Looks like-
fold.
10.
I think Action Aaron will usually fold, but it looks
I would
like
have thought
he's-
so too, but he is not interested in that right now.
It is a cool hand to float with.
Yep.
The gut shot with the backdoor flush draw.
It's a great spot for Action Aaron. If a brick comes off, you think this is a
well,
great card.
now he's got a double gutter and the
and a
flush,
flush
draw.
draw. And also, Wonka's likely to give up here.
I think if Wonka bets, Aaron will raise. I've seen him make plays like that before.
I mean, yeah, and now that Wonka's checked, you'd expect Aaron to just bet and win this pot. So
I think
this is
so.
a pretty. That was a genius float on the flop. It's,
Oh, he checks it back.
That's really surprising. Really surprising.
I am surprised.
He can still win it on the river, honestly. Like, he still looks like he's got a showdownable hand.
It looks like he has King Jack now or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe a 7.
Yeah.
And Wonka just thinks I can't get him to fold.
Aaron
So
would
he
not,
can, even now, he can win even now with it.
but he wouldn't bet ace 7, and he just checks it back. I am surprised.
He could bet ace-7 on the river if it checks against him.
Really?
Sure. Absolutely.
To get called by what?
Wonka being a hero. Wonka with 2 6s. I don't know. It's Action Aaron. Anyway,
Yeah, I think he didn't think that one out.
I think you are not thinking about Action Aaron's rep at all.
I don't think Wonka's calling with a
Wonka
worse
should
hand.
consider heroing with 1 pair against Action Aaron, don't you think? Sometimes?
It's hard for him to have one pair there.
In that spot, I agree. You mean Wonka or Action Aaron?
Wonka.
Yeah. No, he could have 1 pair. He could have his baby pair.
He
2
opened
6s.
under the gun,
He could have 2 6s.
and a lot of the other under pairs are sets. So
Yeah.
you've thought of one.
Yeah, I thought of 1.
Okay.
What's wrong with that? Anyway,
right.
The bigger news here, the bigger headline is that Action Aaron decided not to take a shot on turn or river. He's like one of the bluffiest players we have. It's really
it's
surprising.
very surprising. And it's such a good run out for him and such a good turn card. Wonka with ace-queen again, by the way.
How does Wonka just get them not to bet? That's crazy. And
Whoa, he limps the ace-queen off. This
really
is very surprising.
interesting spot. I wonder why. He definitely knows what he's doing. This is not just random or anything like it. I guess he wants to be able to limp sometimes. Maybe he also is aware that Terminator's been upset about him raising. Although this is the kind of hand you're happy to raise and have Terminator be upset about.
Yep.
You know? It's like, do whatever you want. I got ace-queen. It's fine.
Well, we got an interesting flop here.
Yeah.
Action Aaron has an open ender and a backdoor flush draw. Terminator's got the gut
gutter.
shot, and he's leading out with it. Wonka's got top.
Everybody's going to see the turn. Action
That's
Aaron
a
improves.
Good turn card for Action Aaron. Terminator's betting again.
Terminator does pick up now an open
He's
ender.
betting tiny, by the way. He bet 20% of the pot.
Oh, that's pretty good for his open ender. He'd probably have to pay more if he had checked it. Although that's going to brick out.
Action Aaron's going to win unless he folds.
Yeah. Terminator's been betting this the whole way. Looks like he's going to bet again. Now he's basically repping a full house here.
Yeah, he's repping something like 8-10.
Yeah. I guess you could have king 8, which
Yeah.
is also a full house. Yeah, there's everything's a full house that he would have here. Maybe jack 9. Could have
flopped a straight, yeah.
That's about it.
Wonka's considering making a hero call here. And if he calls, I imagine Aaron will consider folding.
I think Aaron probably will fold if Wonka calls after Terminator's bet 3 times. But
Wonka's going to fold.
it's an understandable fold there with Aaron behind him.
Now, Aaron's not beating any value, but he has a pretty good hand here. I think he'll find a call.
It sort of sucks because, as you said, you're supposed to be losing all value. And it's hard to come with that many bluffs, really. There's not too many bluffs, but
Does make the call. He's going to be happy.
he's got one of the best hands he can have. And one of the things about playing against Action Aaron and the Terminator is you sometimes have to call on the river. You don't have to love it. You just got to call. They're just going to show up with a lot of bluffs. At least sometimes.
Yeah.
That was one of the times.
That was an interesting line from Terminator.
Yeah, small, big. Kind of like that.
Yeah. Got Wonka to fold ace-queen.
Now, if there was no one behind Wonka, he might have called with the ace.
He might have.
Hard to know. Maybe not. That 8 pairing, not great for Terminator's story.
No. He has to have a full house now.
Yeah.
Or
the
a
straight.
flop straight.
But
Yeah.
there's much less for him to have that he could be betting.
Hey, look, the phone corner. Nobody's on their phone. I'm proud of them.
Fold.
Mitsif's got a nice hand here.
Raise to 35. Boy.
Maybe if he wins a big one here, he can hire a slightly better accountant, so he doesn't have to stay late for all of January.
Again.
Call.
Because Cindy refuses to work more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah. I mean, Cindy's a nice person, but she's selfish.
I mean, she's really just kind of phoning it in at work. Mitsif is here for the county. You know, he cares.
Yeah. I mean, you can't blame someone for working the job that they've agreed to work, but still, hey,
Hold on a
let's
second.
focus on this.
BMW Blake flops it, and Terminator also flops it. This is a disaster.
Wow, it checks through.
That card
May
is
save.
not amazing for either player, but come on, nobody bet the flop.
It may save Terminator some money, though.
Nobody bet the flop, though. Somebody's going to bet 2 pair
Oh,
or set
yeah.
on the flop.
I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right.
Mitsif's going to call because it's Terminator, and
Yep.
Blake doesn't rate to have anything.
Blake's got to believe he almost always has the best hand right here, as indeed he would almost always have the best
There's a
hand.
flush draw out there. There's other straight draws. It's probably a good time to raise.
Also, you can think of hands that people can call you with, i.e. trip 5s.
Yeah, 5-8 suited or something like that.
Yeah, you name it. 5-6 suited.
If you're very lucky, you can have Terminator's hand in there. And
Well, that would be amazing.
he's drawing dead against you.
Terminator's going to call. That's completely reasonable.
It would have been reasonable, maybe even to re-raise.
Yep. But I like the call.
I like the call as well. Keep the bluffs alive.
Stack to pot's getting
And that's not going to
interesting.
save Terminator.
Terminator might go broke right now.
I can't imagine he doesn't, actually.
He might just decide my hand's too good not to.
He's
not
going to
check
lead,
shove.
and then Blake's going to have a decision.
Why would he lead?
Oh, I thought he was going to. It looks like he's going to lead. That's what I'm saying.
That's out of flow. It's strange. Blake had just raised.
I promise I've
surprisingly-
never seen this hand before. I kind of knew he was going to lead.
That's
And
crazy.
Blake just calls, and
Wow.
I don't know. Should Blake have considered raising there?
He should have considered it It's weird, though, when Terminator suddenly leads the river after getting raised on the turn. Like, what does he have?
Terminator does have the most full houses in his range because he was out of position. He might check the flop with
Yeah.
the center 2 pair.
I think absolutely. And he could have things like 5-10. He's the Terminator.
Right.
So he could have flop top pair, turn trips, and river to full house and want to make sure he gets value.
That's a pretty brutal cooler for the Terminator right there.
It should have been worse, though.
It should have.
If Blake had just bet the flop, he almost always gets Terminators all of his chips.
Yeah, Terminator probably raises.
There's like another $800 in Blake's stack if Blake bets the flop. Or the Terminator bets the flop, by the way.
This is why we always talk about betting your straights.
Yeah.
You know, there aren't very many good cards for straights, and you don't block any pairs.
Yeah, so, and the board pairing on the turn meant that they couldn't get it in on the turn.
Yep.
Like Terminator decided, and then Blake decides on the river not to raise. Like you just can't go too nuts when the board pairs.
Well, we got the suited connector battle starting between Terminator and Wonka.
Snuggie with his own.
With the best hand.
Yes. He's got Terminator dominated.
He's got all of Wonka's outs. Well, that's an interesting flop for a different hand. Not for this one.
I mean, you know, Terminator can go runner straight.
That's true.
That's about it. Not much happening here. Hey, that's not a card that's going to change anything.
Wonka's got a flush draw. Nobody really cares about flush draws in this
Turns
spot.
out a diamond would do it. You're right.
So far, 7 high is winning. Probably going to be a chop. I don't see anybody really repping it. I don't see anybody folding if somebody does rep it.
Snuggie checks.
Yeah. It's just.
That's going to be $10 back to each of these players.
Congratulations, players. You all win $10.
Also known as 1/67th of a dash.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. If you want to win a full dash, you're going to have to do a little bit more than what these players did, which is just check it down. You're going to have to keep track of who wins the dash hand in each of the 4 episodes. Write it down. Tweet it at us when you have all 4. That's how you win. Of course, look for the instructions on that in the description of this video if you want the full details. But it's a dash, and we're giving it away. It's amazing.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. What's happened to us?
It's free money. What? So weird. It's
Really strange.
like Publishers Clearinghouse, except way better because that's a scam for sure, right?
Exactly. I can't believe those guys. It's not real money.
Blake has
Limping again.
Stapleton calls it quing, which I kind of like.
That's right.
Digital Dan with the 4 deuce suited. And I guess he's feeling like it's time to get a little wacky.
A little jiggy. So he just does
Terminator
a
is
raise,
just
it's
going to
fine.
call here.
Yep. Here's Wonka. He lets it go. Totally reasonable.
Snuggie has queens again.
So many queens, and he
And he
puts in
raises again.
very reasonable 3-bet, of
This
course.
is going to work.
Yeah, if Blake folds, this hand's over. It's amazing how many times Snuggie's had queens, though.
It is. It's a lot of times.
It's really, and he's won lots of small pots.
Digital
It's
Dan
probably
hasn't-
going to happen again.
Digital Dan hasn't folded yet.
I mean, this. I know he's in position. This is a pretty loose call.
He's suited, and he assumes Terminator is going to call behind.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He's not
But there's-
calling.
Whoa.
Those were black
Whoa.
chips. He just 4-bet with 4
Wow.
deuce suited. This is going to be...
Digital one and that's
Snuggie
a
already
fold.
folded?
He shows the queens and
He
folds.
snap folded.
The Batiste special.
The nut peddler.
And Dan shows the 4 deuce. That's going to sting. Wow, Snuggie just really believes Dan isn't capable of bluffing.
Snuggie is shown to be
Diane,
incorrect.
you're gonna have to tag in over here. Diane, you're gonna have to tag in over here.
And then just taking a cool swig. Wow.
Everybody at the table loves it.
That was amazing.
You did not.
Blake's recounting the action for action error in there. What happened? I was not at the table, but holy moly, Digital Dan,
What
often
kind of
called
a-
the tightest player at the table.
What kind of a parlay was that?
He just 4-bet 4 high against Snuggie, who hates to ever fold anything, and Snuggie insta-folded 2 queens
How did
and
that
showed.
work? Dan, who is tight, Snuggie, who never folds and has queens, folds.
I cannot believe that action went that way. I can't believe it.
All right, well,
That's incredible.
it's a whole new world, I guess.
Digital Dan, really, he's created quite the mountain for people to climb, huh? That was a little too steep for Snuggie.
I guess.
Snuggie had to get back to base camp,
And now
oxygenate his blood a
Snuggie's
little bit
gonna
more.
try to get it back now by
Yeah.
calling the queen 8 off. Wonka's got a real hand.
There's no way Snuggie internally is not going crazy right now.
Oh, he's definitely, he's fuming. He's hot under the collar for sure.
And you can see Brandon Cantu is talking.
Call with ace king.
I'll tell you what he's saying. He's saying things to continue to tilt Snuggie.
Oh, for sure.
That's the move. For sure.
We got a couple real hands here. We got Mitsif with 9s. We
Yeah.
got Blake with 6s, and Wonka with ace king.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you see it, that's the third time I've had queens and I've yet to win with them.
See, that was funny. Snuggie just said. He's yet to win with queens. This is the third time he's
That
had
was an
them.
opportunity.
Yeah, like you were up against 4 high and you chose to fold. Usually when people say that's because they got showed down and lost. Right?
By the way, he did win with them earlier in
I
this
remember.
episode.
I remember pre-flop.
All right, we
anyway,
got a gut shot for Wonka here. Nobody else with much.
Mitsif with the best hands.
Snuggie also has a gut shot.
Blake
Nope.
has a reasonable hand here as well. Blake's going to bet it. It's not crazy. There's
Not
a 10
crazy.
on the turn here.
I think Mitsif will probably have to fold his 9s now, and Blake might get to win.
Blake bet into the whole world. I mean, I don't see how you're supposed to call.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Never be too careful, you know? Multiple pair.
And he's going to show the 6s. I'm sure he thinks they're the best hand.
Probably good.
Mitsif.
Yeah, look at the face. That's the face of someone who doesn't think the reports are going to get out on time. You know, they were due on Thursday at midnight. I don't think it's going to happen.
But who cares?
Way
He
too
hasn't
much
gotten a
work.
raise for 8 years. What's the difference anyway?
You know what? I'll tell you what the difference is. Those streets have to get paved, buddy. Someone's got to shovel that snow.
Ah, you're right.
Those textbooks need to be in those kids' hands.
You mean in their iPads?
Tens.
Modernize your speak.
What's a computer?
Great commercial. Yeah.
Kings or aces.
Kids don't know what computers are, apparently.
Yeah, apparently not Apple.
What were you thinking, Apple?
That
All
is
right.
the worst.
Digital
I hate
Dan
that.
did not sign off on that as, you know, the #1 shareholder of Apple, by the way.
Yeah. That is, of course, why they call him Digital Dan,
Yeah.
obviously. Is that he, as the #1 shareholder, is the one who ultimately approved the iPad. He has the power to basically say you can't even put that product out.
You think Steve Jobs was the guy conducting the orchestra?
Yeah, no. Steve Jobs, you know, he plays the trombone in the third the third seat. He's really good at it. He's the best one in his row.
We got
Okay.
a domination situation here with Cantu and Action Aaron.
Yep.
And there is a 5. So there should be some bets going in here.
Great spot for Cantu. A deuce does not hurt him unless it comes running deuces. Otherwise, he's just going to win most of the time.
He's got the diamonds covered also.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost
Oh,
okay.
now he's definitely going to get one more street you would expect.
But now they're chopping.
Oh, right. You can't get a
It's
street.
not as good
when
anymore.
you're chopping, you can't get a street.
Well, you can get a street, and if Aaron folds the river, I bet that seems unlikely. It's going to go bet fold.
If this was
Probably
a,
gonna go
if
check,
this was
check,
a
or-
raked game, it would be a problem, but it's not.
Yeah. Let's see if Cantu goes for value here. Looks like he's going to. This is interesting. I mean, Aaron doesn't rate to have that many pocket pairs or better hands. And obviously, if he raises, you're just going to have to fold this Cantu.
Well, we're just going to have a chop.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what he's hoping to get value out of, though, when he bets on the river.
He's hoping Action Aaron is going to Action Aaron himself into calling with, I don't know, King
What?
High. King
Yeah.
High or something like that.
Yeah, he just goes call, call, call. The thing is, Cantu had opened pre, and Aaron called. Aaron actually can have an ace.
He can.
I don't know if that's a valuable. I don't know if that's a profitable bet. Not sure. Although
He might get him
Cantu
off.
is good about. Cantu's really good about betting marginal and getting thin value. We watch him do that a lot.
He might sometimes get Aaron off a chop. Not usually.
Aaron called really quick, but I have to say, if you're Aaron, you should at least think about it there.
Yeah.
When Cantu goes bet there.
Cantu could have any of the pocket pairs over a 5
Yep.
because Action Aaron did not 3-bet pre.
Right.
Cantu feels very comfortable with 6s plus there.
Absolutely. He's definitely going to bet those for value. And of course, Cantu can have the quads.
Yeah.
So you know what? Maybe that's a more questionable call.
It might be a
from
bit of a
Action
free
Aaron's
roll
value.
bet
Yeah.
for Cantu because Aaron doesn't have too many aces in his range.
I mean, he called pre, and it was ace ace x, so he could have just called, makes
It was
quads on the
ace,
turn.
ace, ace.
It was ace ace 5.
Ace, ace, 5.
And then an ace on the turn.
That's
So
right.
he could have called the flop to slow play, called the turn to slow play because he makes quads,
Yeah.
and then gives him the bad news on the river. But I'm sure Cantu was probably going to fold if he got raised.
Terminator
So-
with a real hand, by the way, and Aaron with a real hand. We're going to have a classic matchup, and we're going to get Blake in there,
Yep.
interloping between the classic matchup.
Blake with also a reasonable hand.
Yeah. He's got pretty good equity in this spot.
Terminator with the best equity, though.
Who has the worst equity? I imagine Terminator might just win with a bet here. No, Aaron's probably going to call once, right?
This guy does have Blake behind him. It's close. It looks like.
It's a
just
pot-sized
throw it
bet
away.
almost, so reasonable throw it away.
Look at the difference in hand size between Aaron and Blake. It's crazy.
Interesting
Look at
comment.
it. I mean, so much bigger for Aaron. Those fingers are just twice the size of Blake's fingers.
It's a weird thing to say. You're just a weird
Like
person.
you didn't notice that? Come on.
No, I hadn't noticed anything.
It's like the Hulk standing next to Ant-Man.
Ant-Man gets really big in one of those movies.
He does. He gets humongous. Yeah, that's a good point. That's good stuff. It's funny. I love those movies. When he gets big, he's funny.
When he gets big, he's you are having a day.
I love doing the commentary on this show. I'm not going to lie.
Terminator is terminating.
Yep.
That's just what I'm going to call that.
It's a small raise. Snuggy's going to call. King 10 off. Aaron's certainly going to call with the King 10 suited on the button. Digital Dan says, yes, I can.
It's only 15 more.
Yep.
We don't have Snuggy's hand in there, but we did see him call, right?
I'm pretty sure we did, yeah.
Maybe the graphics just said call. I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see in a second. Snuggy has a hand or not.
Terminator flops well. Top pair. Snuggy does not have a hand, it looks like.
Well, then that makes more sense.
Yep.
Well, Snuggy had the King 10 off. It wasn't impossible, but
No, certainly not.
Call. And I guess that's going to do it.
It says Digital Dan bet. That's not true.
Yep.
It's
this
all
is
a lie.
all incorrect. Don't freak out.
I'm
not a big deal.
Getting close to freaking out, man.
I know. I can see it in your eyes.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Just, here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine a relaxing place, like a beach, or...
Well, the beach is on fire.
Okay.
There's a shark.
Yeah, no, okay. Imagine a relaxing place like a parking lot, a safe parking lot.
There's a guy with the car and a gun.
There are walls between you and the guy, and they're reinforced with steel.
Okay, I'm better.
Yeah, I knew that would do it.
Wonka has blind raised again, and Snuggy has blind 3-bet, I believe.
Oh, cool. You can tell I was a therapist, right?
It was clear.
Yeah. Any other problems? This is for everyone out there too. Just feel free to tweet at us. We're at 2 Poker Guys, the number 2 Poker Guys. No problem.
Jonathan will solve your problems.
Yeah.
Digital Dan with a pretty good hand in this situation, and he's going
to
fold. Was the 3-bet not blind?
If it was not, I think it was not blind.
Okay.
I'm not sure anymore.
Wonka's getting a good price here, and he has a hand that can flop decently well sometimes.
If it was blind, of course it's going to call. I guess it must not have been blind.
Yeah.
Snuggy just decided to raise.
Yep.
Always looked.
No, he looked. Wow, everybody just folded to the blind raise, including Digital Dan with King Queen.
He must not have known that it was a blind raise, because then it's a reasonable fold.
Yes, I agree.
But if it's blind, of course you put in the 4-bet there.
Maybe Dan is worried about taking an aggressive action against Snuggy right now after showing the 4-deuce. Thinks Snuggy's going to jam it back at him, and Dan doesn't want to take King Queen all the way.
Perhaps. He could just call the $60 then with King Queen.
Yeah.
That would have been a reasonable choice, too.
Yeah, I agree.
Snuggy is going to blind raise to 20.
Mitzif not going to blind raise to 60.
I think these guys should put their money where their mouth is. So if they're going to blind raise, they should play the whole hand blind. Never look at their hand. Never look at the board. Not know the action.
All right.
Just say, okay, Snuggy, it's on you.
All right. Let's talk about poker. Cantu's raising ace jack suited. Terminator folds queen jack off. That is surprising.
Huh.
Snuggy can't fold for 30 with jack 10.
No way. No way. Off the blind raise, that's an easy call.
Not many jacks left out there. One.
That's good for Snuggy.
Yes.
Nobody flops anything.
Cantu checks it back quickly.
Yep.
If you check, I check. All right. Since I checked out a turn.
Since you checked out a turn.
Since I'm kind of required.
Snuggy saying Cantu checked out a turn. That's interesting. Is Cantu just going to get to win with ace high? Nobody's going to take a shot?
See if Snuggy takes a shot at any point. This would be the time, Snuggy.
You're all over that board. He can be all over that board. No, he doesn't. He decides not to. And Cantu just gets to win.
Yep.
Often you would feel like ace-jack couldn't be showdownable if your opponent checks 3 times there. Like you'd think Snuggy had a 4 or something. But
problem is, by the time you make it to the river, he's probably going to call you if you bet, right?
Right.
Especially on that card, on an 8. If a king comes, maybe you can bluff it, try and get a 4 to fold. But problem is, Snuggy's playing, in theory, Snuggy's playing it to call.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to bet multiple streets or not take a shot most of the time unless a bad card for him comes.
Snuggy had a pretty good range advantage there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Did not realize that advantage, though.
Nope. Decided not to try to bluff, the guy with 4.4 million in live tournament earnings.
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
It is reasonable. Brandon Cantu once famously, I think, 5-bet 5-10 off and then called a 6-bet shove with that 5-10 off in the World Series of Poker main event.
I assume
Many,
he's getting
many
a pretty
years
good price.
I think he was getting a pretty solid price, but not good enough against the hand that the guy had, which of course was aces.
Pocket aces.
Yes, I believe it was an old guy.
Yeah.
When the old guy 6-bet shoves, they usually have the aces.
Yeah, usually. Most 6-bet shoves are aces.
Brandon was doing fine against ace king though.
Yeah.
He was hoping the guy had ace king. Just didn't.
Blake gets to win the blind raise pot with 2 5s there.
Yep.
So we'll call it even, Jeff. Okay, we're even. It's not financially, don't worry.
I'm kind of excited for this giveaway.
Me too.
I just, like, it's so weird. I can't believe we're doing it.
I can't believe it either. By the way, this is not the only Dash giveaway we're doing this month.
No, check Twitter for
Yeah, you
some more
should follow
stuff.
us on Twitter. We're giving away another Dash on Twitter.
Yep.
A separate one. 2 Dash. It's crazy. Maybe more.
It's
Who
almost
knows?
it's almost $1,500.
It's really, I mean, what has happened to the poker guys? Like, things have changed, man.
We're no longer in the business of making money. We're in the business of giving it away.
Yep. We want you to make the money. We're just hanging out. We just want to have a good time, you know?
Cantu's raising the 25 under the gun blind here. Is Aaron? No, Aaron looked like he wanted to put in the extra bet there, but he decided not to.
Last time he did that, he had kings, and, you know, he preferred not to. He would have wished he hadn't done it that way.
Yep. And now he's going to be happy he didn't do it because he has 9-6 off. Usually you'll be happy when you don't bet without knowing your hand.
That's true.
Blake's got a nice hand here. He's got the snuggie hand. Don't fold if Dan 3-bets.
Or 4 bets.
Yeah.
Hard for him to 4
It would,
bet.
it would technically be a 4-bet, by the way.
Oh, that's true. Digital Dan.
Oh.
Wow, he might 4-bet.
Yeah,
he
might.
probably is going to 4-bet.
Wow.
He could call. He could call. But he could 4-bet too. Look how deep these guys are too. Both same stack, give or take.
And it looks like a 4-bet,
It's reasonable.
which is definitely reasonable. Terminator had 4 deuce. That was the time.
Might have worked.
It might have. I don't know. It's Terminator and he didn't have many chips.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Is Blake gonna 5-bet or which is really just a 4-bet in practice, or is he just gonna call?
I mean, if he puts in another raise here, he's going to be raising it up to about $700-800, and it's going to be a strange spot if Dan shoves.
Yeah, I think
that
calling is much more
You're
comfortable.
quote getting the right price if Dan shoves, but is Dan ever shoving 2.7K without a hand that's beating?
I don't.
queens?
Yeah,
I like a call
I like
here.
the call. It's a good call.
The problem is there are going to be some boards where you may fold incorrectly. Not
Well,
that one.
that's a good board for both hands.
Yep.
Blake is very happy. Dan's probably pretty happy too.
The thing is, these guys are deep enough that Blake. Wait, he is going to donk
He leads
$400.
400 into 540.
That is surprising.
It is surprising. Dan would bet all of his overpairs anyway, and now we fold out Dan's hands that might later try to bluff, or try to bluff on this flop.
I would think if I was Digital Dan, I would consider raising. Like, jacks are almost always good here.
When
Like,
Blake
is-
just calls, but yeah, it's basically just queens, right? That
right.
we're worried about.
Like, Blake is often donking if he has a hand that he can actually play here, 9s and 10s, right?
Well, Dan's gonna let him. He's seen Blake bluff before,
Yeah.
so he's gonna let him try. Well, that's gonna be an action
yeah,
killer, right?
it's going to go check, check, probably all the way to the river now. Wait.
Blake just
wrong
announced a
again.
bet.
We're wrong again. Blake is betting.
You bet 800.
Wow. What is Blake hoping to have happen here?
Now this is a weird spot for Dan because you don't expect Blake would have led with just an ace-high hand on the flop, but maybe he would have.
Blake,
I don't know.
Blake could have been bluffing on the flop and gotten there.
With an ace-high hand.
Why would Blake bet queens here? I mean, if he puts Dan on exactly kings after Dan had called the flop bet, I guess you could be hoping to fold them
Dan
out.
folds jacks, and that shows that that bet was probably not a profitable one by Blake on the
Yeah.
turn because Dan folds obviously the hand Blake
Connect.
needs to get called by.
Exactly.
That's an interesting hand to end this episode of Poker Time. Check back next week.